Lisa Fleming and I are the fastest talkers at Howard Hanna. Like it's like a known thing. So I only go before her so that you can be prepared for everything she has to say. Everyone laughs. It's like who's faster today, Lisa or Kate? So now that she's actually on a time crunch with a power cord,
Oh,
you go get your coffee, right? Lisa, do they have a moment for just a minute break? Because they have not
sure.
had one yet.
No, please. Yeah, please. You guys can see my screen, right? Okay, well, that's a good start.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, hi. Nice to be with you all. Welcome to what I think is the best career that you've chosen, which is real estate. So we are excited to have you as part of our Howard Hanna family. My name is Lisa Fleming. I'm actually the Vice President, General Manager here in our Michigan region. As Kate said, I do talk a lot, and where you might catch an accent, I'm originally from Pittsburgh, so I'm called a Hanna baby. I was born and raised with Howard Hanna. I've been with the company for 23 years, but I started as an agent in our Pittsburgh market, when we were only in Pittsburgh, and in the 23 years, I've watched the company grow to where we see it now. So it's exciting. I'm excited for all of you on our call today. And for what lays in store, as far as your future goes with a real estate career. So my topic that we're going to talk about after I heard you coming off of social media is active listening and communication skills. Okay. So, it's funny. I think all of us on this call today most of us think that we are pretty good listeners, because I know I do. And it's funny, just, reviewing the PowerPoint, some recent situations, I've realized that, we can all improve on active listening. And it is so crucial for a couple of different reasons in this particular career, in the fact that you are dealing with clients and what they may be telling you body language wise, or maybe not even verbally, is not truly what they mean. So you got to be able to learn how to dig and read nonverbal cues as well as verbal cues and really get to what they're looking for. So, and as well as being able to respond and building that rapport. So we're going to talk today, and here's our objectives: how to actively listen. It's where most of us fail, to be honest with you. Find and convert more leads through active listening. So because we fail at active listening, how many leads are falling through the crack, or what aren't we picking up on? Increase awareness in verbal and nonverbal communication, which of course then allows us to keep more deals together. So what does lead generation mean? It is the action or process of identifying and cultivating potential customers for businesses, products, or services. So what we need to think about are, what questions are the customers really asking? Because sometimes what they ask is not really what they mean to ask. So, and then we need to make sure that we know how to answer those questions. We also need to be able to have lead generation, and part of our active listening is, through social media, your networking, your community. What value are you offering? What are you communicating out there that somebody's going to want to work with you in a sea of a lot of real estate agents that are in this career? So, why are they going to pick you? What do you have in common with a potential client? Perhaps you just bought a house. You're a first-time home buyer. Perhaps you went through a divorce, and you might want to work with more clients that are, divorcees, so to speak. How do current market trends affect your clients? So are you able to communicate that? Are you listening to what's going on out there in the in our current market, so to speak, and how do you communicate those current market trends, and what does that mean, being able to tell that why and what that means to your client, and how can you serve as a resource to your client? So let's think about this. How well do you listen? I want you to think about this, and I'm going to ask you some questions. So I spend more time talking than listening. Does anybody do that? I complete the sentences of others before they finish speaking. Do we do that? I am aware of my biases and how they influence my thinking and listening. Do we realize that maybe we do have those, and we're already coming up with an opinion before we really listen to the whole story? Do you listen to your internal dialogue and not to the person who is speaking? Do you ever interrupt the conversation and do not let the other person speak? Do you plan your response before the other person has finished speaking?
And this sounds like marriage counseling.
It does. And do you jump to conclusions, make assumptions, or think that you have the answer? And do you might just want to add or ask closed-ended questions? So think about that, because I'm telling you, I think some of us think we are better listeners than we are. And we really need to, in this business, hone in on this, because in my opinion, it's one of the most important things that we can do to build those relationships, of course, which is all part of that lead generation. So active listening allows you the opportunity to build rapport, to uncover buyers' needs, let that prospect know that you understand them. We're going to talk about these 4 steps, but really listen to what's being said. We need to repeat what you've heard when you're talking to someone, confirm what you heard is correct. Like, for example, so let me confirm that I'm hearing you correctly, or let me confirm that I understand what you're trying to say. And follow up with open-ended, relevant questions, not just questions where you're going to get a yes or no at. Okay, now that's weird. Hold on one sec. Okay, active listening means to listen for meaning and is used to understand another person's point of view and feelings. So let's watch these videos real quick here.
There's no sound.
Yeah, we're not getting any sound.
Still no sound.
No,
You guys not hearing it?
no sound.
No sound.
Yeah, no sound.
Hold on one second, guys. No, you guys weren't getting sound there?
No.
No,
Oh,
none.
you know what then? Hey, based on my issue with the computer as far as my battery goes, what I'll do is I'll have Kate send those out, because I'm so sorry. I don't know why, because I had it all that I could share the sound on that. So I do apologize. Okay, so there's a couple of things that are actually that I wanted you guys to see, a couple videos, but we'll just share them afterwards. So if you have some time, I would take some time to watch them, because they are cute and they really do hit home. But so let's go into face-to-face. Now, again, what does face-to-face mean today in, COVID times? It's physically or virtually, obviously. So we're going to talk about these different segments, the 3 components of active listening: first impressions, physical cues, establishing rapport, and again, is all part of this active listening. All right, come on. Whoops, got ahead of me there. Hold on one second. Okay, so 3 components. What makes up what we hear? Facial expressions. As realtors, we want to get really, a good intuition on what people are trying to tell us, just again by what those facial expressions mean. How about the tone of voice? Plus the words, so if you look at the graph there, 38% is the tone, 55% is your body language, and only 7% is actually the words that we hear on what we're interpreting, if that makes sense. So, how does silence benefit or hinder your communication? And I'm so sorry, I just need to, it's taking up my screen here. Hold on one second. Silence allows the other person to continue speaking. Combined with a pause before speaking helps calm a situation and makes people feel at ease. Interrupting sends a message that I have more value than you do, or what I have to say is more important, or I don't have time for their opinion, or I don't care. So what message is conveyed when you experience nods and smiles? Nods of the head, and smiles can be powerful in affirming that messages are being listened to and understood. Small smiles may show that listener is paying attention or to what is being said. Smiles can also interpret that you're in agreement or being happy about the messages that are being received. So again, watching those expressions. Another key factor is, are you aware of your own and others' comfort with physical closeness? I mean, posture can tell a lot about the sender and receiver in interpersonal interactions. The attentive listener tends to lean slightly forward. Like right now, I mean, even subconsciously, I'm leaning forward into my screen. Even though you guys are all on Zoom, I mean, I'm not sitting back like this. I'm not sitting, I don't know if you can see that with my hands crossed, but I'm intentionally or unintentionally, not even realizing that I'm leaning in to my screen to get closer to all of you. So other signs of active listening might include a slight slant of the head or resting your head on your hand. So again, different cues to pay attention to. Nonverbal. again, are you aware of your own expressions and your clients? So in face-to-face or virtual meetings with a person, you can detect that enthusiasm. You can detect boredom, irritation, just with the expression of way that your eyes are, the way your mouth sets, the slope of your shoulders. I mean, these are clues that you can't ignore. So when you are listening, remember that words convey only a fraction of what you're trying, what that message is. So, when you're on a listing appointment with a client, when you're meeting with buyers or driving buyers around or walking around the house, you really do need to be cognizant of what your body language is saying to someone. Do you know how much eye contact is appropriate? It is normal and usually encouraging for the listener to look at the speaker. Eye contact can be intimidating, as we all know that, especially for more shy speakers or introverts. So you need to gauge how much eye contact is appropriate for any given situation and combine that eye contact with smiles and other nonverbal messages to encourage the speaker. So again, when you're listening to your client or, anybody for that matter, these are things that you want to get more in a habit to be cognizant of. So and these also apply for when you're speaking to a client virtually as well, in today's new world. Unfortunately, I have a couple other videos that are going to come up here. And again, I don't know what's going on with the sound, but, look at the nonverbal clue here, so spatial behavior. I mean, you can see what's going on, here, so to speak, but, she doesn't want to be, involved. She's reading her magazine or, whatever it is. So, verbal communication, tone of voice, the minimal encouragements, door openers, closed-ended questions, yes or no, open questions, conversation starters, why questions, so again, thinking about these types of things, tone of voice, guys, is so important. I think, I get nervous when we communicate through emails because you can never, ever know the tone of somebody, of what that can, be mean, or somebody's typing in all capital letters, that's, construed as shouting. So again, being aware of all these things. And then the other thing we need to be really aware of is asking questions and then wait for the client to fully answer. Okay. Face-to-face, eye contact, body language, micro expression. So that's eye contact, being, the comfortability of holding your eye contact. And it can vary with cultures. So again, know what you're dealing with if you're dealing with a client of a different culture, so to speak. Your body languages, those are physical tells. They give insight to the internal emotions. So learn how to read others while controlling how you project your own intentions. Micro expressions, they're brief, they're involuntary facial expressions, but they can provide valuable insight into the emotional currents within others. So, think about that. When you're face-to-face, establishing that rapport, a good way to do that is to use a person's name in conversation. Kate, I'm really going to enjoy working with you. Kate, I want to, get to meet you and your family. I'm really going to concentrate on what you're going to be looking for and finding that right home or, whatever that is. So again, focus on that other person's name when being introduced. Use the name as it was given to you. So if it's Kathleen, don't call them Kate or whatever. So make sure that you call them, the name that they gave you, or have permission. If somebody says, my name is David, don't just assume you can call them Dave. Just, picking various, thinking of different things here. Write it down as soon as you can, and some of us have better memories than other, but I think it's important that wherever you write it down, like if you have like a journal type or notes of your clients, but making sure, because when you write it down, it helps you remember it. Associate the name with identifying cues. I mean, guys, we all meet a lot of people. So, what can you think about that will help you jog your memory, the next time you're talking to that person, you can't think, what their name is. And always offer your name when meeting somebody for the first time, So again, whether you assume they should know it or not, it's just a good habit to get into, and it can make them comfortable because maybe they forgot your name. So minimize any natural differences between you and the others, including age, gender, attitude, culture, language. So you want to really try to diffuse that. Pacing and mirroring behaviors can subtly establish rapport, breathing patterns, body language, word choices, or the intensity of speech. And guys, the only thing I can tell you is like Kate said, her and I are both fast speakers. I sold for many years before I went into management. And I on my listing appointments, working with buyers, I mean, it was trial and error before you really did establish these type of patterns. But I can tell you, when I'm sitting with a couple, like a husband and wife, and we're talking about listing their house, as you can see, I'm using my hands right now. I'm very, I'm engaged, I'm passionate, I'm moving quickly. Not everybody's like that. And, you need to be careful, because my type of personality could actually be a turnoff to somebody that is more, doesn't have that type of energy, is, more the opposite of where I am in my personality, on the spectrum. If they're not using their hands, sometimes I even have to sit on my hands because I become aware of that. So, a good thing to establish in that report is mirroring the behaviors of the other person. Because, if I'm bouncing out of my seat and they're just sitting there, again, I'm in jeopardy of perhaps not getting that listing, or not having those buyers, want to work with me, because we're just, I'm not jiving with them. We're not clicking, We will always, as agents, we will always work well with people more like you are, so you're going to do well. But here's the thing. How much of the population is like you? I mean, how much of the population, are more engineers or more accountants? They're a totally different personality than me. So I really have to work harder at those types of clients that aren't mirror images of myself, if that makes sense. Clients that I click with and we're very similar, man, it is great. We get to the finish line. Clients that, you struggle with more because they're not your same style personality, that's where, you want to be able to work with everybody. And, coming into this position, it's one of the things, like I mentioned early on, is that you really got to be cognizant. And you might think when you saw this class, oh, I don't really need this because I'm good at it. None of us are really good at it. I don't care, again, unless you have a psychology degree. Psychologists are really, really good at listening. But most of us, for the most part, aren't, and again, it's just the nature, it's human nature. So a couple things to remember: listen twice as much as you speak, ask roughly twice as many questions as you answer. Use open and closed-ended questions, expanders, and silence. Allow the speaker to finish without interruption. I'm such an offender of this. My family tells me this all the time. My husband says, will you please let me finish? Because I'm always finishing for him. Because he's not quick enough for me. He's taken too long. I already know what he wants to say. I need to get to the next thing. But again, that's my ADD, and he's not ADD. So, there you go. So, but I'm offending him. So if I'm doing that to my husband or my own family, imagine, when you're dealing with somebody that doesn't know you and you're trying to build those relationships, for lead generation and, and to, grow your business. Avoid jumping to conclusions, guys. I mean, this is so good, so important to assume. You might not have all the facts and you're just assuming, what they're telling you is true, so you really got to make sure that you have all the information that you need. Always pause before responding, restate what you heard. So let me make sure I'm understanding you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. I know we've been looking at both, single floor ranch homes. We've been looking at 2-story homes, but I want to make sure you don't want to see any more 2-story homes. Is that correct? We're just going to limit everything to just ranches. Am I correct in what I'm understanding? So always, again, restate what you've heard, because maybe they're not saying that. Maybe that's what you're thinking they're saying. And again, address one issue or question at a time. Don't be all over the board. Okay. So you want to be able to try to stay focused. And this is the same with phone conversations too. I mean, the difference with the phone conversations is the client can't see those facial expressions or those nonverbal cues. So here's some examples of asking questions to uncover the prospect's issues. So prospective sellers, how did you hear about me? How soon do you want to have your home on the market? What other companies are you interviewing? What price range do you feel your home is in? What improvements have you made to your home since you bought it? I mean, you can Google Risk Media, RISMEDIA has some great questions for building rapport, with your clients. But tell me about yourself and your family. What are the main things you want me to cover today on our marketing presentation? How long have you thought about selling? Why have you chosen to move now? You need to know, the right questions, to ask. Prospective buyers, how long have you been looking? How soon do you need to move? You need to find out their why. You have to find out the motivation in both of these, buyers and sellers. What price range are you thinking about? Are you pre-approved? Would you consider going higher? Are you you don't want to go any higher, let me confirm, than this, 150,000 or 200,000 or whatever it may be. What neighborhoods interest you? And you need to find out the why, because perhaps there's some neighborhoods that they never even thought of, but because you now know what they're interested in, you can say, hey, have you ever thought about ABC neighborhood or, CDE neighborhood or whatever? And have you ever seen a purchase offer contract? Have you ever seen, so you want to see, have they seen those contracts, and make sure they're aware of them ahead of time so that they know what they're going to be signing and, filling out at some point, down the road. So reflective responses, closely repeating and paraphrasing what the speaker has said in order to show comprehension. Reflection is a powerful skill set, guys, that can reinforce that message of the speaker and demonstrate your understanding. Like, oh my goodness, you must be thrilled. How exciting, or I'm so sorry. What a terrible ordeal for you. Well, we're going to make sure that that doesn't happen this time around. So, or I can see that you're confused by that. Let me help you understand, or let's go through the process because I want to make sure that you're aware and set those expectations clearly. So again, what are you saying back to the client, to make sure that you're on the same page? And if the speaker's feelings are hidden or unclear, then occasionally paraphrase the content of the message, or just nod and show your understanding through an appropriate facial expression or an occasional well-timed, okay, yep, gotcha, So again, so that they understand that you are engaged and that you are hearing what they're trying to say. So in summary, repeating a summary of what has been said back to the speaker is a technique used by the listener to repeat what has been said in their own words. So remember how they may say it, and then when it goes through, your mind and what you're reading on, their facial expressions and nonverbal cues and their body language and all that, sometimes you may not be picking up exactly. So that's why, again, you summarizing in your own words can make that difference, okay? So, and it also makes sure that if it's not correct, that speaker, gives that speaker a chance to correct if necessary. So there's that example. So let me make sure I'm correct. And what I'm hearing is, and it sounds like you are saying this. So get those words in your vocabulary when you're dealing with either buyers, sellers, anybody. I mean, you can be dealing with a title company or a mortgage company, but as part of your business, in the real estate, you want to have these words and that you're using them all the time. Because again, communication and listening is probably one of the key components in our field right now. So Simon Sinek, guys, I don't know if you've ever watched him or seen any of him. He's amazing. He does a lot of different things. I'm reading a book right now about, finding your why, because again, until you know what your why is, it's hard to, find that motivation. So it's just great for, any career that you're in. But I will have Kate, like I said, I don't know why my volume's not working, but if you want to write this down and Google it, you can watch it on your own. It's on YouTube. But again, the key to success. So, and he talks so much about the importance of communication and nonverbal cues, verbal cues, and how to properly communicate with, your clients. So my goodness, I went through this pretty quickly. So this is a communication style self-assessment. So what I'm going to make sure too is that, that you get these. I know that they're in the in your workbook, so to speak, but this would be great for you guys to go through. You can add up your points. You can see, what type you are. Are you a feeler? Are you an analyst? Are you a driver? Are you a theorist? So again, it will help you understand the differences because again, you want to be able to communicate and be receptive and on both sides of that to no matter what type of person your client is. So, and then there's some other great on YouTube here that you can watch a TED Talk. Your body may shape who you are, active listening exercises. There's another TED Talk called Reading Minds Through Body Language. So that's wonderful. So, these are some great things, again, just to hone in and fine tune those skill sets. So actually, without having those videos on there and being able to share those, I apologize. I'm getting you out early for today. So is there any questions or does anybody want to share anything for the good of the order? And I'm doing pretty good on my computer power. So that's awesome. I'm still at 35%. So yay. But anybody have any thoughts or about anything? No, nothing. Okay. So I know, again, I talked pretty quickly too and moved there. I'm just looking, see, please put this, so, oh, I'm sorry. So you want to see the slide to write down the videos? Okay. Hold on one second. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to put that slide back on too. So Candy can write down the videos, but it was nice to meet you. You're going to see me a couple more times. The Michigan people will see me for the buyer's agency. I'm going to be training on that as well as the listing contracts. So otherwise, I wish you guys much success and enjoy the rest of your fast start. And, you know, I know that you guys are back on I guess next Monday with the group. So have a wonderful weekend and we'll see you around. But hang on, anybody wants to
Thank you.
share my
Thank
screen.
you.
Thank you, guys. And I'm going to share my screen again just for those videos that you wanted to write down. So hold on one second. There you go.
Lisa, I was wondering what part of Pittsburgh you were from.
I am from the North Hills part of Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. I grew up in Monroeville. I'm living in Cleveland now.
Oh my goodness, how fun. How long have you been in Cleveland?
Since 2009.
Okay, so you've been there a while. And I've been in Michigan. I moved to Michigan in 2014. So.
Oh, okay. Do you miss Pittsburgh? I miss home.
I do. I mean, Pittsburgh will always be home. I mean, I love it. My family's there, you know, but we love Michigan. It's been a great experience. They're great people. I mean, the Midwest, I mean, I really have to say, and I do a lot of stuff with the Ohio folks, you know, with the Ohio management team and different events. But I mean, Ohio and Michigan are very similar to me, except of course, I know the difference with the football teams, you know, between the Ohio State. So I see that difference, you know, with the sports, but otherwise
Definitely.
I just feel like we're very similar. And it's funny because I do get here in Michigan that I seem very East Coast. And I think it's just because of how quickly I talk. But no, it's been great. So we've enjoyed it. And I love hearing that you love Cleveland, but again, Pittsburgh, it will always be home. So
Always in my heart. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, best of luck. You picked a great company,
Thank you.
obviously. I wish you continued success. So.
Thanks. You have a great day, dear.
Okay, you take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Nice seeing you all. And again, enjoy the rest of your day. And those of you who are getting snow, stay safe out there. Take care.
do you guys know if we're done for the day?
Don't know.
It looks like everyone signed off, but I don't, but there was nothing going on, so I didn't know.
Kind of looks that way. Okay, bye.